This is the only tech sales interview guide you will need in 2025. My clients went from zero interview to working at Toast within 2 weeks of using this system. I break into tech sales with no experience and make 10K in commission in a single month. The truth is, most people fail tech sales interview because they're missing one key element. My name is Yvonne Zhang. I moved to Canada alone at 16 from China, barely speaking English. If I can master it, anyone can. So I'm going to show you the exact mindset to crush HR screening and hiring manager round. Let's go. So in this video, you will learn about the pre-interview preparation 95% of people skip, psychology behind HR screening questioned, so you know why they ask what they ask you, and the visual pitch getting my clients multiple offers. And at the end, I will show you how to handle salary question without undervaluing yourself. So this is part 1 of the interview guide, and in a few days, I will release the second part on how to crush your hiring manager round. Now, the biggest mistake candidates make is actually treating HR screening like a formality. They think it's just like, oh, HR asking me if I have visa or citizenship. It's just that simple. No, this is actually a great time for you to get the ticket to be shortlisted. Like really stand out in the interview so you can get the next round faster. And then this is also a chance for you to really set up your success for the later round. We're gonna cover all those stuff. But like just speaking of HR evaluation, what are they looking for? So it's very simple, like they just want to know if you're serious about this opportunity. Are you just sending out thousands of applications and hoping see like what stick? Or like, are you someone that like have a very specific goal and understanding of what you want in your career? And of course they would like the second one. And then also they want to understand like, do you match their certain successful profile? One of my HR friends actually tell me like when they're hiring, when they're screening candidates, there are certain profile they're looking at. They're checking boxes, they're looking at a certain characteristic, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide. The reason why I mention it is so that you are conscious about this fact. When you are answering question, you wouldn't give them a very generic or like irrelevant stuff. All they want to know is if you can be successful, which kind of connect to my last point. HR is basically like the matchmaker between you and your hiring manager. They want to make sure you can bring results, you can be successful once you start a role. So they care about numbers, they care about story, they care about achievement. So keep all that in mind. If we break down to characteristic, they're really just looking for people that are hungry for money and hungry for growth. If you're in sales, like you're making commission plus base. So like the more you put in, and of course your commission check will reflect. And they're also looking for someone that will stay at the company and grow within it. So think about like when you pick a company, like you need to ask yourself, do you see yourself working there for like a few years? This is something to consider. Nowadays, managers care about if you can talk to prospect in an authentic way. Just like don't talk like robot, be like, what company looking for is, like, it's just like too robotic. They want to see if you actually know how to connect with someone. If you don't have sales experience, but like this is your strength, then you should really lean into it. Third thing they really care about is like if you're coachable, like they want to know if they give you feedback, can you absorb it and then take action quick. The last thing is, of course, in sales, like there's ups and downs, so like when things get hard, can you stick with it? So now let me show you exactly how I help my client to prepare for the Toast interview. When it comes to interview, most people might go to the company website or LinkedIn just to learn about what's going on, like it's good. But I would say the best research come from people already work at the company. So why don't we get to them? If you are applying for BDR roles, I will highly encourage you at least like send like 20, 30 LinkedIn invite to BDRs just to get them on a coffee chat so you can learn about like how they talk about the product, what is their ideal customer look like, who exactly do they prospect, and use the specific words they use, what is their value proposition, how do they stand out from their competitor. Like all these things, it's hard for us to know from the website. So like really leverage this time and research to talk to your maybe future colleagues, gain some insight, and then also like have a taste of the team vibe. You can see if this is a team you want to work at or not. I would start with like talking to BDR, lower level people. If you're applying for AE roles, like of course, like talk to more AEs. Once you understand and get to know about the company more from low level people, I will encourage you to go one level above, right? Like talk to director, talk to VP, you can talk to the CRO as well. Show them you're not scared to prospect. You're basically doing a sales job right now. So how do you do it? Like you just basically go on LinkedIn, like search people based on their title and company and ask for a coffee chat. This is basically the only way I do research. It's not like I don't do my own reading, like I do, but like I find the best way to do research and learn about things is from people. Now I'm going to show you a breakdown of a HR screening call. Generally, HR screening call is like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Some could be an hour. So I'm just using a 30 minutes as an example. For the first 2 minutes, you will want to build rapport with the HR. I will dive into how do you do it in the next slides. And then she will try to ask you a question. Generally this portion takes the most time. It would take like around 15 minutes. And he or she will give you the floor to ask question, right? So really leverage this opportunity to ask insightful questions to improve your perceived value and gain more insight about the next coming rounds. There's one important thing you need to do at the end to close the meeting. So make sure you keep watching to the end. When it comes to building a rapport, right? Once again, it's very quick. It's only 1 to 2 minutes. Usually if it's in a video call, you need to be aware of your body language. You need to sit straight and then you need to match their tonality. So what do I mean by tonality? So for example, if they're speaking very high pitch, right? Then try to match that tonality. And if it's a guy, then he generally speak lower tone, then you can try to tone it down with your voice. Because like in a video setting, body language and tonality matter the most. The goal is to make them feel like you are just like them, like by mimicking their words, by mimicking their tonality, just to make them feel like, okay, like we're similar, and make them like you as soon as possible. If it's only an audio call, then it's a different story. So you need to pay more focus on the tonality and matching their energy. And since it's an audio call, like you don't get to see the person, so I would highly encourage you to listen actively to show you a good listener. So for tonality, I understand it takes some practice to improve. Let's say you have a call tomorrow, like what do? There are some words you can use to kind of increase the chance they like you. What you can do is like you can take control of the meeting at the beginning. You can say something like, hey Emily, like thanks for meeting me. I saw on LinkedIn you're based in LA. Is that right? And then let her answer. You can just be like, oh yeah, like I'm Yvonne, I'm based in Toronto. And yeah, like how was your day going? I purposely asked them about their day first. And then like when they ask me how was my day, and I will always say it was very productive, just to show her or him I'm already a very strong candidate. Like I know what I'm doing. So after building rapport, and then of course like he or she will try to ask you, yeah, like tell me about yourself. This is your time to shine. So I teach my clients to do visual pitch. Like instead of just telling them the answer, come prepare with PowerPoint deck to answer this. It could be like 3 to 4 slides max, and use their company logo and aesthetic throughout the whole slides. So in the first slides, you can just write your name and the title you are applying for, and then make sure the logo and the company aesthetic is on point. And then on the second slide, you can just highlight some like very high level of like your relevant experience with results, impact, and like numbers. And also like hobby that show that you are the profile they're looking for. Remember at the beginning, yeah, like show that you're coachable, show that you're competitive, hungry for growth, like just think about like what makes you a good candidate and then add it there. So instantly when they see this deck, they just feel like, oh my God, like this person comes so prepared. In order to impress them more, like you need to practice the whole deck. Like I would say at least 10 times. So right now we're getting into question categories. So like you see the words I'm using is categories. When it comes to preparing answer, I wouldn't prepare for a specific question only. I will prepare answer for a type of question. So for example, past or relevant experience. Like there are so many ways that they can ask you, but the core they're trying to understand what did you do before that is relevant to this role you're applying. I will answer any question in the STAR method. I know it sounds pretty tedious, like the STAR method. When I first learned it in business school when I was in undergrad, I'm like, who talk like this? Honestly, after using it for a few years, I feel like this is the most effective way to communicate. Whenever people ask you stuff, you just tell them, okay, like what's the situation? What's the context? What did you have to do? What happened with the results? That's what they all care about, right? Because if you're in sales, you're supposed to be number driven. For example, you're applying for BDR roles. The nature of it is mainly just to build pipeline through cold calls and cold emails, right? And your KPI is number of meeting that is booked. So like think from here and then reverse engineer to think about your past experience. Is there anything relevant that can showcase these KPIs? And then you can also connect with your transferable skill like communication. When I was applying, I actually did something crazy. So I know I didn't have direct sales experience, but in order to showcase that like, oh, like I'm not scared for rejection or anything, I actually started a street interview tech talk channel. And I was living in downtown Toronto. Every day after I commute back from Oakville from my last job, like I would just like freshen up at home and then bring my tripod out, and I would just go down the street to ask people if they would be down to be interviewed for 1 to 2 minutes. You know, like it was a very scary experience. I'm so glad I did it because like I built very, very thick skins. No matter what people say no or like rejection or whatever throw on me nowadays, like I can catch it. That's what it takes to be successful in sales, to be honest. Like you just need to train yourself to have that skills. I understand we don't have experience, but you want to lean into that. Like I'm very adaptable. I learn very fast, you know, like you're coachable, like all these things, like back up with numbers and stories, make the HR feel like, okay, like I see her working in the team. Like she should be a good fit, you know. That's just the general feelings you're trying to give them. It's not really all about the word you say, you know. Like I mean, word to say is important, but like it's a feeling you're giving her. So after they understand a little about your past experience, then they will want to know, okay, like why this industry, why you switch industry, or like why this company. When it comes to working at a company, it's like you either love the people or the product. It's great if you love both. You should name drop the people you have spoken with during the research stage. You can literally say their name and title out. And since you have conversation with them, like I'm assuming you have fun talking to them. So you can mention like, yeah, like I really like talking to people that open-minded, willing to growth like that. You know, I see myself working with this team and this dynamic, you know. And also like I like the product, you know, you can mention a little bit about how you see the product. It's just really these two things. And a general advice for you is like when you are doing these screening interview, you're also thinking for yourself, like, do you actually like the people and the product? You know, this is so important because you're spending a lot of time working, right? So think twice before you commit with the company. Another question HR will ask you is like, tell me about like what we do. This is kind of a trap. A lot of candidates will get like freaked out, right? Because like let's say they prepare something, but then they just forget, right? All of a sudden, or like they probably didn't do research, right? It's totally fine. You know, like when you talk to a lot of people from the company, like more or less you already get a sense of what the solution have. Like I hope you do, because like from this coffee chat you're supposed to gather information. So like to answer this question, I would say you can continue name drop. You can be like, yeah, we chat about a little bit, and then I saw on the website, just trying to like stay very service level. I wouldn't go into the product knowledge too deep because first, you never worked there. The things you can know about is very limited. Always trying to hide your weakness and show your strength. This product knowledge question can make you perceive as you didn't prepare enough. So I would just like generally touch on demonstrating your answer of their solution. You can literally just say their solution name out, right? And then you can just like briefly say how it's beneficial. I feel like this is an HR favorite question. They always trying to understand like, okay, like what motivate you? What are your 5 years plan? You know, like I would encourage you to think about like yourself as well. Just take some time, like you can pause the video right now, right? Like ask yourself what actually motivate you, right? Because like when you actually start a job, you actually do need this fuel. So it's better for you to find out what can motivate you when things get hard, right? Before you get into the industry. So mentally you're more prepped. In terms of the 5-year plan, they just want to see if you would continue to grow at the company. Like even though you have other plans, like don't say it. You know, don't be like, oh, I'm gonna move like out of the country in a year or so. You know, like just say something you want to grow from the company. When it comes to the salary, before the call, you should already like go into Red Hubs or Glassdoor like this to understand what is the general industry standard for the role you're applying for. The HR asks you this. Never say your range or number first. Ask them what is their range. For example, if you say OTE 80, but then like their range is 90 to 100, then you're basically selling yourself short. All right. So like in order to avoid this, like always ask them what is their range first. So you know the budget they have. If you feel like you are more competent and you have experience and you deserve more, you can always say that. But like I recommend always say your numbers in a range form. It shows that you're flexible, right? Like you're not just like fixated with that single number. Don't make it become a deal breaker. And now we're actually getting into the last portion of the screening. So like there is a list of questions I prepare for you. So like you can ask them. First is for you to understand the team, the vibe, right? Like to understand if you want to work there. And then second is really increase your perceived value. Continue showing that you are a strong candidate. Make them feel like that if they don't hire you, it's their loss. So the first thing is like a no-brainer. Always ask them what's your top performer looks like, right? Like what set them apart because I want to be like them. HR would be happy when they hear this, hiring manager as well. And the second question I will ask is, can you tell me more about the team I'll be working with? You know, it's mainly because like in the next round, you will see the hiring manager and you want to learn as much as you could so you can think about them more and you feel more familiar so you don't feel as nervous when you get on the call with them. And the third question is very important. Let's ask about what's the next step. Is it gonna be a mock call, role play? Like all these things really ask and trying to understand so you can prepare. And then the last question you should really ask is, based on what you know about the hiring manager, how can I stand out in the next round? Some people might be like, will they tell me? Yes, definitely. Because HR also wants you to be a good candidate, to be honest. Because like they are so tired of screening 500 people a day, you know, getting on like 60 different calls like this. So they really hope you can become the right candidate and then eventually get hired so they can meet their KPI as well. So yeah, by asking this question is doing yourself favor and also doing them favor. There's a last closing question you should always ask, no matter if it's an HR round or hiring manager round. So really ask them this. I really enjoy our conversation. Do you have any hesitation moving me forward? You know, and then go silent, let them talk. Right? Say it out loud super confident as if you mean it. For example, they do have hesitation, then you need to handle it in the call. Don't wait. So for example, like she was like, yeah, like I enjoy a conversation as well. But like the only concern I might have is they might think you're too junior. So like how you can handle this is say something like, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, like so I know the team is looking for ABC, let's say like someone that is strong in outbound new logo prospecting, right? And then you can just bring in relevant skills like this, right? You can be like, yeah, like, I'm not scared to do the numbers game. You know, at the beginning, I'm a quick learner. I can adapt very quick with like example backing up. And then for example, like there was like, yeah, like we do see a little experience gap here. Like we are actually hoping to hire someone already have tech background. But then you can just be like, okay, like totally understand. Like I hear where you're coming from. But like I was doing some research about your current sales rep here, and it looks like not everyone have tech sales background. Like most of them actually come from different industry like me, and we do have like similar transferable skills. You know, just saying something like this show that you're able to handle objection.